everything legit. The Nimi Mehta podcast. Everything legit, the Nimi Mehta podcast, yet another episode with someone I'm really excited to introduce to the podcast, actually. First of all, I'm going to introduce you as someone, I'm going to tell you how I see you, if that's okay.
Tell me.
Okay, so I know because my husband's a dentist, first of all. Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
I know, he's so jealous right now, by the way.
Wow.
He's so jealous that you're here with me in the same room. But he's obviously told me you are, and just from seeing what I see, you're the best in the game at cosmetic dentistry and aesthetic everything. Just from
tape
being
that.
just from being here, I can tell why. Just by being in the presence of everything that you do here, it's beautiful. But I also see you as someone who has managed, and something that a lot of people haven't managed to do, is turn a profession into
something cool,
which is just so unheard of, because when you look back, and I think of all my trips to the dentist and stuff like that, there's such a negative experience and connotation around that all. So I want to say huge respect to you for doing that, because that is a huge thing to change people's mentality and culture around that. Dr. Appa, thank you for being here. I would say welcome to Dubai, but I mean, you're here all the time, so it's no big deal. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, really, really good. Thank you.
Quite the cool intro. I like that.
Did you like it?
Yeah,
just off the cuff. Didn't even look at my notes.
I like it.
So I want to start off because, I mean, for the two people in the world who don't know who you are, everyone knows who you are. You're Dr. Appa. Could you kind of explain to anyone who doesn't know who Dr. Appa is and what you do?
My first name is Michael.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think my first name is Doctor.
Yeah.
What do I do? Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We have a setup that basically is able to take people from all over the world, bring them in here, and transform their smile in a very efficient manner. I guess that's the best way to say it. We do cosmetic dentistry at the end of the day, but we just do it well.
Mm-hmm. But something that I noticed when just from watching your content and seeing you speak is that for you, the customer experience is a lot to you. That means everything to you. How did you manage to transform that? We speak about the culture that got changed. How did you start that?
It happens, it evolves, and it continually evolves. It happens over time, but I think you have to put yourself first in your consumer's shoes, which is hard for a lot of people because the people coming to us live well above the means of all of us here.
Yeah.
So you have to be thinking all the time, like, what do people experience when they walk into Chanel? What do people experience when they walk into the best restaurant? What do people experience? And you're thinking along those lines in terms of hospitality and how you take care of them. But at the same time, we're trying to change the perception of what we do in the chair as well. Now, what we do is highly specialized, like we were talking earlier about each layer of the porcelain is baked and cultivated into looking like a tooth. But it's that whole process from start to finish is our process. And what we've done over time is we've taken the right people, gotten them involved, and really made something that is so difficult because it's such detail-oriented work. We've made it seem like not nothing, but next to nothing. So yeah, I mean, everything is evolving over time. A game changer for us, which was only 5 years ago, is we put every office has the lab in-house. You used to have to send out this type of work to an outside lab, and it completely changed our world of high-end luxury experience with them seeing the craftsmen on site, but also for the dentists that are working here, we have them at our side to really scrutinize and make every final detail correct.
Now, looking outside in, a lot of people would just think it's Dr. Appa, that's it. But what I love when you're speaking, you're saying our. There's a serious team culture here within.
Yeah.
So how did you really, because that's a really difficult thing to do, to create a workplace where people want to work and, you know, employing the right people. How has that process been for you? I hear you're very, very hands-on when it comes to hiring every single person.
Yeah.
Just a little birdie told me.
Yeah.
So how's that been for you? And is it difficult then that you don't want to micromanage too much either? How does that balance for you?
It's not easy. I am very hands-on, but I try to hire the right people and put them in the right position. I don't always hire for a position. A lot of times people have come in as X and ended up being Y because they're just much better suited for it. Like I've had dental assistants that work up front. I've had people up front that work in the back. You know, we're constantly switching and swapping. There's no such thing as like an office manager in our culture. It's just somebody that is a natural leader of each team because there's 3 locations. But look, it's not easy. And obviously it's been a long process of making mistakes. You know, I used to have just one office in New York and it was really run in a very different culture. It was run by the guy that I bought the office from. And it was chaos. It was like controlled chaos in his mind, but complete chaos in my mind. You didn't know who was driving the bus. I mean, you know, you had everybody would fight and they would think that they were the boss of this section and the boss of this section. And basically in the end, I try to boil it down to something like an American football game. And that really is my speech. And that it means that like, every day for us, you know, football teams, they play 16 professional games a year. For us, we play a football game every single day, okay? And that means that every position, even though I may be the quarterback, right, the guard, the wide receiver, every defensive player, every position on the field is critical to the win. And that's why, and that is really the culture we've instilled. And you know, some may say that I am hard on people taking vacation, but if I was okay with whomever wanted to go whenever, it would mean that their position wasn't that critical.
Yeah.
Right? But every time someone leaves or goes away, it creates a hole, and that hole will continue into the next week, the next month, so on and so forth. So, you know, you try to show them the relevance of why they're here and how important it is and what it is that we're doing beyond what we do in the office. Like you said, you know, your husband is a dentist. You know, my team needs to know that. They need to know what we're doing in our profession and why it's so important. And I say they need to know that. They do know that. You know, and the other thing is, when we talk about we and all that stuff, I had the most amazing mentor. This guy, Larry Rosenthal, who I bought the practice from in New York, and really he was one of the first people doing porcelain veneers. It was one of the first lessons he ever taught me was take I out of your conversation. You know, everything is we. Every time he would lecture, even though I was, you know, 1 year at a dental school working for him, he would call me his partner and he would say we, and I think that's an important thing, you know, when you're younger and you don't realize and you're a little insecure and you want to kind of show your position or role, you'll say I a lot. And I think as you become more comfortable in what you do, you realize that it's only we.
I love that.
For many reasons.
Yeah, I really do love that. A lot of people from all over the world, whether they are in your industry or not, they look to you as a role model. I think that's fair to say. What pressure comes with that? Because I'll give you an example. My husband has been following your journey, huge fangirling right now as we speak. He's in Amsterdam messaging me like, oh my God, are you with him? Are you with him now? He said to me 6-7 months ago, I need to meet Dr. Appa. And I was like, okay, why? Talk to me about this. He's new in the game. He also said to me, well, the only way I can get in front of him is if I book a consultation. That's the only way I can do it. When I'm in Dubai, that's the only way I can do it. You must have so many DMs. You must have so many people that are just starting out in the game, maybe even established, reaching out to you to kind of just get some guidance or understanding of how you got to where you are today. Is there a certain amount of pressure that comes with that?
Well, let me put it this way. I think everybody handles things differently. But I think I was born, or I thrive on that pressure. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I thrive on that pressure. I need people. It's almost like I don't want to let anyone down. Even with, I went to this journey recently where I went vegan, and I had these crazy workouts.
Yeah.
And people have really been inspired. Like, I had a patient this morning saying, like, even before I hadn't started her teeth yet, she's like, I just want to let you know you've already changed my life. She's like, because of you, I'm working out again. You really inspired me, and I feel so much better about myself. And that really is why I put that stuff out there.
Yeah.
People think I'm showing my personal life. It's not my personal life. It's things that I think can inspire and can help other people. So, with dentistry and with, the younger generation or the established generation, what I try to do, and some people in the room actually think it's boring, I try to show our process of how we're working. And I'm trying to show the level of detail that's coming out of our hands. I'm trying to show how talented all the ceramists are. And really, I'm trying to give them an idea of what the procedure is and how to go about it, without showing too much to where you can't show blood or things like that, because patients don't understand it, and they're really who's looking at this as well. So, and I don't have time to lecture anymore. I used to lecture all the time. So what we try to do is give as much information as possible. And I have even done like live sessions where I've put people's teeth in live, or prep people's teeth live, or I do a lot. I put a lot of information out there in the world that if people really want to know, like your husband, how we do what we do, I think it's pretty clear. So much that, like, sometimes you have to realize it becomes frustrating when I'm not going to say they're competitors, but when people just blatantly copy everything you do and become a carbon copy of your short coat, black gloves, custom glasses, in-house lab, white office, to the point where you're like, do you have any originality?
Yeah. It also is compliment at the same time, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It would be more of a compliment if they would actually speak to you and not just peep from afar and then make it look like, look at my brilliant idea. But yes, it is a compliment.
I hear that. So work-life balance. This is something that I love your content for. Yeah. Because one thing I'd just like you to do now, and now I've seen it on one of your videos, and a lot of people would have as well, but your daily routine is something that you speak about. And I love this. I mean, I'm in the media. I don't know anything about your industry, but that resonated with me so much. In order for you to perform well, in order for you to find happiness as well, something that you speak about, your daily routine. Could you talk me through that?
Yeah. By the way, it's the best interview we've had in Dubai.
I agree.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, you're playing, like I said, I feel like I'm playing a game, a real game, every time I come in. It's exhausting. We're seeing, I was with David today, who's one of the dentists here, and he was laughing because every room you walk in, people want to tell you what's wrong because they're nervous. So they don't want to tell you like, oh, I'm so amazingly happy. Like, they are happy and they're smiling, but they want to give you the negative first. And so it's just, you're constantly going to a room absorbing negativity. And then most of the time that the team talks to me personally, is when they have to tell me a problem, right? And at the same time, by nature, I'm introverted. I don't like to talk to people. I don't like to be around people. I like to be alone. I like to be quiet. People think that I'm like a very outgoing person. It's like that selfie that I take in the morning, we'll get to the daily routine, but that is like me showing myself and everyone else that's following me, like, this is my uniform. Now I'm Dr. Appa. Now I'm good to go. Right. Prior to that, like, I'm Mike.
Yeah.
So in order to kind of get through that, and it's something that I've learned over time, it's interesting when you're in your 30s, you think like, your 20s, you were in college and you were doing whatever and you weren't a real serious person. And now your 30s, like, that's the time where you really, and the interesting thing is what I'm finding is like your 40s, maybe it's 50s when you're 50, but my 30s were terrible. I mean, I worked hard, but I was not nearly as disciplined as I am in my 40s. So the work-life balance is you have to feel good about yourself. And when I say feel good, I don't mean like have a six-pack. I mean like you have to get up in the morning and really feel that you're working towards your goals, achieving what you want to achieve, your head is on straight, things in your life are in somewhat of a control, and that comes, I always say, like, there is no such thing as reality, right? There's how you perceive a situation. So, like, the same situation that you and I are perceiving, you might think this interview's terrible. I might think this interview's great, but that's your reality and that's my reality. So everything is a reality, and nothing is reality. So you can wake up and choose to think things are amazing, or you can wake up and choose to think things are terrible. Part of what helps me focus on positive things is being physically active first thing in the morning. So I need to get that workout in. That's what turns my brain on and gets crap out of my system. Once I get through that, then it's about like small victories create the big victory for the day. So like making good choices. What do you eat for the first thing that you put into your body? Like, what is your first interaction with people that are around you? Like, is it you're nasty with your wife, or like, are you saying good morning, babe, how are you, and giving her a kiss? Like, small decisions and small victories are what make the big victory or the day feel good. So part of my daily routine is get up very early, work out, say hello to my wife and the dogs, and then encapsulate myself in the car with no one being able to talk to me. And I need like that 30 minutes of like Starbucks and music on my headphones I listen to on the way to work. And then once we get into work, it's like, it's the game is on and it's time to play. So you gotta go in and really inspire and put a smile on your face and leave whatever nonsense behind. We work till about 6 or 7, and then I go home and I eat. I have chefs wherever I go so that I'm vegan, so that they can make me the right food and I can be on balance with that. And then I watch a little TV and read something and go to sleep by 9, 10 o'clock the latest, and then do it all over again.
Sleep, that is like such a huge thing.
It's so critical.
And this is something that actually when Gary Vee was in town we spoke about, and he said people just don't understand. People think that actually getting no sleep is the win, because you think you're hustling and you're working, but working smart, I guess, is what it comes down to. One thing that I really, really, really relate to, me and you, one-on-one, is when you talk about how when you're at work, you're one person, you're Dr. Appa. When I head to my radio show in the morning, when I've got the headphones on, when I'm in that studio, it's one version of me. Yeah. But when I step away and I'm at home and I'm not in the zone of near a microphone or near a camera, what I loved is how you speak about the other side of yourself, which is Michael, which is actually, I have insecurities. I'm a normal human being. And that is just, it's so great to actually see someone be vulnerable and open to showing people that, hey, look, it isn't all rosy on the outside. Was that a big step for you to take to show that vulnerability? Or was that just you being, hey, this is me?
No, again, that was from my mentor. In fact, when I used to go to work, I used to be Mike. Right? And Mike was, always right. And, insecure, which would come out as argumentative and all of those things, right? And I remember one time I was sitting in an operatory talking to a patient, and I was telling the patient about things that happened in my life. And Larry, this guy's name is Larry Rosenthal, when I got up from the chair, and he never criticized. Like, he was not a micromanager. If anything, he was like, he just let people do whatever they wanted and created chaos. He was the opposite end of a micromanager. But I remember I got up, and it was the first time he had ever said anything, and he's like, listen, people don't want to know about your life. They want to feel, they come here because they want to feel better about their own lives. So you listen to them. Don't tell them about your life. And that was a big, like, aha moment for me, you know, where I realized, like, okay, yeah, they're coming here for the show. And that was when I realized that, like, I would see him get in the morning. He was just so amped up. I mean, he naturally has a lot of energy, but he's just super positive, and like nothing was negative, and he was flying around and, you know, creating the buzz, as you'd always say. And I realized, like, shit, this is like going on stage. And so I realized at that moment that when I go into work, I have to be Dr. Appa, and that is a separate person from my own whatever. So I don't think it was hard. I think it actually makes everything much easier to be able to, you know, create whoever you want and then go home and be yourself.
Yeah, authenticity wins nowadays, I think. Especially, which actually moves me into social media and that kind of world where, you know, a long time ago, like we spoke about when we first started this dentistry, there was such a negative thing around it. However, now you have become one of very little people who have managed to turn something that you love to do, your passion, but you're also, I would say, a walking brand.
Yeah.
A lot of people nowadays are trying to do that on social media, right?
Yes, everyone.
Doctors, dentists, lawyers, especially just some sort of profession, trying to become something or someone on social media. First question is, was that ever a plan for you? Was that a thought out plan, or did that just organically happen?
Not a brand for social media. I was trying to create, you know, I always had the idea long before social media was even out that it could be that you could have these kind of tiers of a dental office where you could have many offices under a name, a brand, and people wouldn't have to necessarily see Dr. Appa, right? So I always use like the Giorgio Armani, Emporio Armani, Armani Exchange, right? There's 3 tiers. No one's getting their suits hand-tailored by Giorgio Armani, but they all trust in his brand, so they would go in and get a suit by him. And that's how old and long ago I used to think about it to even mention Giorgio Armani. So I thought, yeah, you could have these high-end dental offices, and if you create a big enough brand, people in the Midwest of the United States would go to an Appa center because they were in Dubai and LA and big cities, and they want a piece of that. So when I first started coming to Dubai, it was 2009, and that was my goal. So long before Instagram happened, but carried all the way through in everything that we had been doing prior. And then social media was just an amazing platform to continue it.
Great. Well, last question.
Yeah.
I know you're on a tight schedule, but just last question. When it comes to your social media then, how have you really taken on that role of, is there a separate Dr. Appa like to your social media? Is there, because when I come to your page, I feel like I see you as a person. I see your incredible work. I see that there's very different reasons people would come to your social media to follow you. But now with more and more people doing it, more and more people taking... Basically what I'm trying to ask is that work is amazing, but some people aren't recognizing that you got to do this after a backlog of incredible work and history of succeeding and doing a good job. However, now what I see is people just going out there, fancy suits on. I think there's this hashtag like dentist in suits or something that people are doing. And what would you advise to anyone that is in that position right now that would want to be doing what you're doing? It's
a good question. People ask me that all the time.
Yeah.
I would, I don't know what I would do. If I was young, I would probably want to be doing what you're talking about. Because I remember when I first came out of school, I wanted to be the man, right? But it's not until you like get kind of kicked down about 1 million times that you realize like, okay, this is gonna be a long road.
Yeah.
And that's why I was talking about like my 30s and loving yourself and all those things. Like, I was in the building blocks of trying to become who I thought Dr. Apple was in my 30s. It wasn't until I hit 40 that I really felt like, wow, people know who I am. They respect my work. They're really traveling from all over the world to come see me. Like, I feel like I've done what I'm supposed to be doing. I would talk like I did when I was 35, but I didn't actually feel that way. And that puts out a much different person from actually knowing it to wanting to. So what would I do? Look, there's no magic recipe. You just got to work your ass off, have a very clear vision of how you want your life to be, and continue for it. Unfortunately, you just can't put out work. And at the end of the day, I think what truly separates my account from everyone else's is the volume of work that is on my page all the time. A new mouth, another mouth, another mouth. You'll see a lot of people that do have teeth on their page. They're putting like one case 15 times in 10 different shots.
Yeah.
So, you gotta get work under your belt. And as you do that, you'll become better, you'll become more confident, and you will feel like you really want to feel, which is, like you know what you're doing.
Amazing. Well, there you go. You heard it from the best in the game. Dr. Afa, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
Yay.